everybody, welcome back to Devils United. The final preview for the Premier League. It's going to be a very interesting Premier League day, final day. Manchester United win 2-1. Not at all comfortable, let's just say. But I'm happy with the 3 points, finishing third. I know there's still some Premier League teams who are playing right now, so we'll keep updated with the scores as well. But we'll mostly talk about the reaction, of course, and we can go off a little bit topic in terms of the relegation, who's getting into Europe. But let's do this. Say hello to people in the chat. Good evening, Sophia. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. Hope you have had a great stream too and have enjoyed the game. Good evening, Eddie. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Yep, it was definitely a free hit game today. Couple of rotations, which I will go into. And we managed to sub off our most important players ready onto the FA Cup final. Good evening, Luca. Hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. Good evening, Rather. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. And then Dominator being his prime, Rather, so I don't know how I'm going to take that compliment. Big ups on the win. Yeah, I can see Liverpool are drawing 4-4. I bet that is going to be a very interesting game, to be fair. Good evening, Reese. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. FA Cup final. Let's do this. I'm looking forward to it indeed. Hey there to our Lumber. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. Always good to see you. Is that the United third kit? Yes, it is the United third kit. You know what, Rather? Have a guess who I've got on the back of my shirt. You might get it, you might not. Yep, just as Reese said, hit the likes, share, subscribe as well, and check out the membership channel. Hey there, Helga on Wheels. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Happy with the result. Wanted to see more youth. And Helga, Weghorst missed that. Weghorst missed an absolute sitter. Let's just say we're not going to see Weghorst again anyway. But it was a bit of a shame. I think Kobe Mano, from what I've heard, is supposed to be injured. It would have been nice to see Iqbal on the bench, but we didn't see anything. Palestra came on, Garnacho started, which was great. Mays looking sensational in the green. Hey there, Lee. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. I ain't bothered about the young youth players as long as we got to win the game and consolidate position. Go on, girl, my beautiful niece. Thank you very much, Lee. I hope you're doing well as well. Mays makes green look immense. You hated this third kit, Reese. Question, thoughts how United broke down Fulham. I think it was quite tough to break down Fulham personally. That first goal, what Fulham scored, it was great by Tete. And then when De Gea saved that penalty, I think that was the turnaround. I think it was about getting into them tight spaces because you've got the likes of Palhinha there playing. Diop was absolutely fantastic as well. And I think you need to find them tight angles on which a lot of people have struggled to find against Fulham this season, which is why they've done so well. Their midfield has been absolutely spectacular, but them as well has also done rotations. So you've just got to pickpocket the certain places, and it was going through the middle really what really helped. Everton are the gemmiest gets in football. Hey there, Chris. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. And congratulations on the win. Kyle, League One. I bet you're absolutely made up. Had that penalty gone in, we would have lost. I completely agree. I think we would have lost it. And I'll tell you something what was really, really funny was, like, me and my mum and dad was talking. And we were talking about, because we was watching the Carlisle Stockport final. And I said, De Gea can't save no penalties. He's only saved about 3-4 penalties since he's joined Man United. And it was funny because he saved the penalty today. I thought he must have listened to me today, surely. Question how United linked up in the play. I think Fred was the main key in that play. He got into the right spaces at the right times, done the right passes. I'm psyched for the league away kit with the roses. Need authentic if we're going to get that one. I haven't seen the green away kit, actually. I've only seen the home one. The home one looks okay, but we'll just have to see because it'll probably come out probably in the next couple of weeks or so, actually. I particularly like the fact we reframed the position. Despite being behind, we came back and just attack after. So let's look on the scores, what it is at the moment for all the other Premier League teams before we get into the lineup. Yeah, so here it is. Full time, Aston Villa 2, Brighton 1. Everton finishes full time against Bournemouth 1-0. So that leaves Bournemouth, Everton are staying up. Tottenham 4, Leeds United 1, Brentford 1, City 0. To be fair, just as us, Man City could afford to rotate. Manchester United 2, Fulham 1, Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1, which I think was very, very surprising. Leicester City 2, West Ham 1. Even though Leicester won, it just wasn't enough for them to stay up. Arsenal 5, Wolves 0. Southampton 4, Liverpool 4. Rather, I bet you're liking them fours. And Crystal Palace 1, Nottingham Forest 1. So that keeps at the table. Aston Villa has secured the Europa Conference League by 1 point. So despite Tottenham scoring the 4 goals, that wasn't enough for Aston Villa, as Aston Villa had that 1 point clear. Liverpool and Brighton already secured the Europa. Manchester United move up to 3rd place and secure the 3rd place as well, due to Newcastle also drawing the game, and we have won. And we're looking here now at the relegation. The relegation remains the exact same. Southampton's in the last place, Leeds in 19th, and Leicester in 18th. Everton scrapes the relegation yet again, as they got their win. Let's be honest, though, that was dicey things, isn't it? Let's be real. Let's be real here when we say this. Nobody likes Sean Dyche. Nobody likes the way Sean Dyche plays. He plays Brexit football. He plays that type of football where you look at it and think, I absolutely dread it. And he's only going to bring in more players like that coming into the summer. I don't think Everton's going to have a massive budget because of the current FFP situation, but they're going to bring in players to suit in Sean Dyche at the end of the day. And if there was to get that FFP, and Sean Dyche, as he did at Burnley, scraping them one goal wins, and just as he's done today, and he scrapes them draws away, there is no reason why Everton can't stay up yet again. As I say, he plays the worst type of football. He's Diego Simeone on a budget at the end of the day. And he plays it very well. No one else in the Premier League plays how Sean Dyche plays, which is why he catches out a hell of a lot of people. So let's have a see in the chat now. I'm absolutely made up. Tears of joy. I've gone for now. I couldn't care less about Liverpool today. Well, it's all about Kyle today. You've got your win. You're in League One. Fantastic. How good was the defence? The defence were bad, but it wasn't great either. It was just bang average. Everton survive. Blue Scouts survive. Well, to be fair, the Blue Scousers are better than the Red Scousers. Sports and how Ten Hag was able to bring the game from 1-0 down. I just think it's the mentality at Man United this season, the way that we've been able to come from a play at home, and we've made Old Trafford into a fortress this year. Not many teams have come out with many points coming to Old Trafford, so I think it's just the difference compared to last season. There is a much bigger mentality with the squad. Thoughts on the selection, and particularly the back four. We'll go into the lineup in just a second, Reese. I got my heart rate back after that playoff final. Don't do that again. Good evening, Ashler. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Last year, Everton finished 1 place and 3 points more this season. Trophy 3rd place. Champions League, FA Cup final. Yeah, it's a successful season for sure for Manchester United. I think it's better than what a lot of people probably thought we was going to end up as. It was better than what I thought we was going to end up as. I wasn't expecting the Carabao Cup. I was expecting better for the Europa. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't expecting 3rd. I wasn't even expecting us to get into the top 4. So I actually predicted us to finish 5th. So Manchester United for sure has done a lot better, and it's about strengthening the squad, because you're looking at other teams now in the Premier League who are strengthening. You're getting Aston Villa, you're getting Brighton, you're getting Brentford, who's looking really great. There's loads of different teams who are doing spectacular. You don't know how Chelsea's going to turn out with no European football next year. The same as Tottenham, you don't know how they're going to be, and that's always going to depend on their outgoings as well. Great season, everyone. A trophy, third place, FA Cup final nets, absolutely. Hey there, Andrew. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. Once Everton appointed Dyche, they were safe for me. I said Lampard at Everton would be sacked first this season, and said Dyche would replace it. Dyche suits Everton. You know what? As I say, Dyche is one of them type of people where he's just horrible and a pain. He's absolute pain. Didn't watch the game, watched Everton. Congratulations, Chris. Maisy, I only care about United. Yep, same here. Good riddance, Leicester. Worse than Blackburn. Ooh, that's a bit of a strong statement. United don't lose at home, only Brighton first game. Exactly, and that just shows the shift in mentality yet again. Because after that Brentford 4-0 loss, I think Manchester United in itself, they changed. I think Ten Hag knew that I think the job was a lot more tougher than what he probably anticipated. So he had to get something in place. Not since Brian, you're true. What's your rating for Ten Hag this season? Good question. You know what? I'm gonna probably rate Ten Hag. For now, I'm gonna rate him a 7 out of 10. If we're in the FA Cup, I'm gonna boost it up to an 8. I think he's been absolutely spectacular this season. There's a few things that need to work upon in terms of the squad and the manager, because there has been quite a few times this season where his game management isn't up for scratch. In terms of his substitutes, the timings of his substitutes, and that has sometimes cost the game. But say with the shift of mentality with the players, when we need to work on our away record by a country mile. We need to as well look at as well the heavy defeats, losing against Liverpool badly, and that's as much as people didn't like that 6-3 with City. We need to look at it's the same as losing 2-1, because that's how it equates to. But we can't have the heavy defeats anymore. We need to as well give Ten Hag the backing. So I think there was just them tiny little things with Ten Hag what points it down a tiny bit, but 7 out of 10, and it goes to an 8 if we win the FA Cup. Now just Glazers, Maguire, Nets, Lee. I think we find out in a few weeks or so about the Glazers situation. Don't rate Dyche from Andrew. Glazers, Maguire, McTominay, Weghorst, Martial need to bowl. Weghorst is gone anyway, Reese. Weghorst is gone anyway. Newcastle love draws, absolutely, to our lumber. Fred double assist today, loved it. Maisy played the season for you. I've actually got an award show on Tuesday, so I will release my player of the season there. I don't want to give it away yet, so it's going to be Tuesday, 8:00. So go and check that out. It's been my award show. I'll be doing the player of the season, young player of the season, and the rising star of the season, player of the season, goal of the season for Man United women, and we'll be doing it for the Women's Super League and also the Premier League. Barcode merchants, where do you think Man United can improve more? I think for me it's the final third. I just think with the final third for me is we've not been up to scratch in a lot of games, missing absolute sitters. So that's where I think we should really improve upon. I agree. What 3 teams are being promoted? 3 points. We've got Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton. I've actually predicted all teams to go back down. But it's going to be hard to say, because I think it's just going to depend on how their investment's going to be coming into the summer. That's a great rating. What do you also rate as well, Ashley? Everyone put in the chat, what do you rate Ten Hag for first season out of 10? Maze, do you think Eric Ten Hag has managed the players better? Do you see an improvement, a massive improvement rather, Burnley, Sheffield United, Luton up. My point prediction came through. Start of the season, I said League champions won't even hit 90. If United get the right signing in and improve their record, they'd be City's closest challengers, in my opinion. That's very, very good prediction there, Chris. Chris is quite good with his predictions, by the way. He showed me some of his predictions. United can improve everywhere, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I think for me, it's just I think the final third is what I think needs to be improved upon the most. We need serious investment and improving on positions, but a striker and goalkeeper is vital. Worst player of the season is Maguire. Our third flatters us. We are not very good. Eric Ten Hag 7. Ashley's gone for Eric Ten Hag for 7 out of 10. Chris, I think Burnley and Luton will stay up. Still a lot of bad teams that stayed looking over their shoulders next season, especially if this point reduction's going ahead for Everton. That's going to cause a big disruption. 7 for us, 9 if he wins the FA Cup. Barely remind me of 2011-12 Swansea, and Luton heading to same territory as Brentford and Brighton for me. Ooh, good shout, Chris. So we'll go into the lineup now for Manchester United. These are not my ratings, so just ignore the ratings. The lineup we had was De Gea, Malacia, Lindelof, Maguire, Dalot, Fred, Casemiro, Garnacho, Fernandes, Sancho, and Rashford up top. I think for me, there was a few rotations. We always knew Maguire was going to be starting. Maguire did need to start because I think for me, we did need to rest Varane ready for the FA Cup final. We knew that Varane is very injury prone. So if he was to pick up an injury, then we would be screwed ready for the FA Cup final, especially knowing that Luke Shaw has got a little bit of a tingy injury as well at the moment. Fred was another one who came on compared to the other games, started. I think with Fred is Eriksen was looking a bit stale in the last couple of days, last couple of games. He wasn't at his best. He was probably bang average for me at best, which is a bit of a shame because I am a massive fan of Christian Eriksen. So I think we needed that kind of shift. We needed that a little bit of pressing because even the pressing at time to time was getting a bit stale. And Fred is an absolute pressing machine. Garnacho also starting. A little bit of face coming into the left-hand side while Rashford is shifting up into the middle. We have actually had better games of Rashford in the middle rather than on the left. Although I do think Rashford does suit playing on the left a lot better. I think he runs into defenders far too much. He doesn't really cross into the box. So I think it was the right call. Rashford played up top. When we get a striker in the summer, it'll be a lot better. Sancho has gone on to the right instead of the left due to the injury there of Antony. The rumours are reported that Antony could be fit for the FA Cup final, which kind of contradicts what I read the other day, that Antony was going to be out for 2 months. So I have no clue. Dalot also started, and I think that just really shows that he's resting Wan-Bissaka ready for the FA Cup final. I think for me, if Dalot was to start the FA Cup final, it'd be absolutely annihilated. Against the likes of Phil Foden or Alvarez or De Bruyne or whoever is going to be playing on that left-hand side, he will be absolutely annihilated. And I would much rather play him against Fulham. No disrespect to Fulham when I do say this. And then the lineup for Fulham, they did do a couple of rotations. They had Leno, Tete, Arabino, Diop, Robinson, Lukasic, Paulinho, Willian, Kerner, Wilson, and Mitrovic. So Pereira hasn't started. Harrison Reed hasn't started as well. So there was a couple of rotations. Yet again, this was a free hit for Fulham as well as a free hit for us. It was just that not to lose, to finish 4th. That was the only thing that we needed at the end of the day. I know there was something in the chat that we could have seen a bit more youth. which I do understand the point, but it was kind of one of them for me where it was kind of one of them where if you rotated too much, you could be battered by the players who they have got on the pitch. Thanks for coming in, Andrew, and take care. Can United keep top four or higher? If we get the right investment, back Ten Hag, I think there's no reason why we can't get top four, but there isn't higher than top four, if you get me. Top four is either first, second, third, fourth, nothing higher. Hey guys, what a game for football. Hey there, Torsen. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Chris, I'm always wrong on my predictions on my team. Also, cheers to Lampard for turning up in a match this season. Nothing new. Even though it didn't matter in the end, Sancho Garnacho wing play was absolutely brilliant, and that run by Pellistri was phenomenal. Hey there, Liam. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. I'm delighted with the top four this season, considering how much we fell away this season. Yeah, I'm absolutely happy with top four. I didn't predict top four initially anyway. So to get top four, I'm happy with the top four. Maze, do you see a game plan when Man United play? Yep, and that's counter-attacking football. That's how we've always played and how we play best. Everton do not get point reduction, Maze, to get out. They do get point reduction, Torsen. Next season, they can actually get point reductions due to FFP rules. I'm going to get it up for you, Torsen. Okay. Here it is. Everton face point reductions as Premier League charged club with transfer breach. The Premier League have confirmed that Goodison Park have been charged with an alleged breach of the same rules that Manchester City had to have broken regarding profit and sustainability. Everton have been charged by the Premier League for an alleged breach of financial fair play rules following a 10-month investigation into the club's transfer spending. Rules stipulate that the club can lose maximum of 105 million across 3 years, but last May, Burnley and Leeds United wrote a joint letter to question whether the rules had been breached. Everton have recorded £372 million loss in the last 3 years, citing the coronavirus key reason, but the complaint from Burnley and Leeds prompted the Premier League to investigate, and now they've been charged with alleged breach of the same rules champions Manchester City were charged with last month. Everton have denied there any wrongdoings and they will strongly contest the charge. If found guilty, they could be found or face a significant point reduction. An independent commission will evaluate the charges before making a decision. If Everton were to get relegated, EFL will give them points reducted. No, because the Premier League were the ones who investigated it, not the Championship. The the point reductions wouldn't go ahead because it was a completely different league who investigated in it. Mace, for me, finishing third, 2 FA Cup finals, half a successful currently. What do you think Ten Hag's aim will be for next season? I think to finish third and higher, to get into the knockouts of the Champions League, and to do well in domestic cups again. I think the Premier League not brave enough to do it from Chris. May's thoughts on United getting bullied in games and how to counteract on this. Just improving the control of the midfield and also defence as well. So I'll go into the first half of the game. I think for me, Manchester United, they was playing it a little bit safe at first, right until Tete scored. I did look at Tete's goal. I think for me with Tete, it was a spectacular goal. there was no one there who was marking Tete, because a lot of their corners and set pieces have come from goals from Mitrovic this season. So you could see two players were marking Mitrovic. And it was supposed to be Rashford who was marking Tete, but he didn't really mark him too well, and that got to a goal for Tete. I do personally think that De Gea could have been a lot better. It was pretty poor goalkeeping when you do look at it. But I do think that the goal in itself was great. Even after the goal, I think Fulham were the better team. We was giving sloppy errors away. I think though Fred was absolutely spectacular. He dropped as far back as a centre back, covering for Dalot's messes, who was giving the ball very, very cheaply. Same as Maguire, giving the ball away cheaply. Fred was all over the pitch, pressing the ball. He done his job in the midfield, and then he was dropping deep to help out the defence. And he was also going forward as well. Casemiro gave a silly penalty away, and it was a very, very silly penalty. He shouldn't have done that. And rightly so, it was a penalty. It was missed by Mitrovic. Good save by De Gea. And as I said earlier just then, I laughed at De Gea saying, oh, he barely even saves any penalties. Like, imagine us in a penalty shootout with De Gea, you know what I mean? Like, after watching Stockport versus Kyle. And then he goes and saves a penalty today. I do recall Rashford nearly scoring as well in the first half from a free kick. I think it was great goalkeeping by Bert Leno. And then coming into once the penalty was saved, I think that shifted the whole team's mentality. We was attacking, bringing the ball forward. I think Fred was getting into the right pockets of space. Fernandez linked up very, very well with Fred. I think for me, Sancho's goal was very well taken. He was in the right space at the right time. I do think for me, it was kind of one of them where most people would have probably got that in the back of the net anyway, apart from Ragos. But it was a very well taken goal from Sancho. I know this is going to sound very controversial when I do say this, but I don't think Garnacho had the best of games. He did win us a few fouls, but I think the way Garnacho played was exactly what I've said in the last so many review shows, that Garnacho is much better coming off the bench than he is starting. I know there was no choice but to start Garnacho because of injuries. And playing with Martial is like playing with 10 men. The same as playing Weghorst, it's like playing with 10 men. So I can completely understand why Garnacho has started, but I just feel like for me, right now, it is far too much for Garnacho to start a Premier League game. I still think at this moment in time he's still quite raw. And I think Tete was absolutely outstanding. Eva Paulinho was absolutely outstanding against Garnacho. I think, especially knowing it's a youth player, that kind of helped him get the better of Garnacho. I think Rashford got into the right pockets of space, but I don't think he was all there for me. But the goal from Sancho just before half time was great, and I think it was something that we did need. I agree. We kept making sloppy passes. Fulham pressed very well. Near post, easy goal, had to be cut out. Fred was perfect today, my man of the match. Maisy, thoughts on how United respond when a goal down? As I said again, it's just a shift in mentality. Because if that was last season, we would have got battered. But there's a shift in mentality now at Old Trafford, a shift in mentality with Eric Ten Hag. So I think it's just the mentality of the players, and they're actually wanting to play for the badge. I said on Doug's watch along stream, Casemiro being watching Karate Kid because he sweat the leg like Johnny Lawrence did. I'm glad Everton survived today from Torsen to Alumba. Yeah, Garnacho being a bit off, Tete bossed him. I completely agree with that. I just think at this moment in time, Garnacho isn't the finished product. And that was the same though with when with Phil Foden with Man City. He wasn't the finished product at first. With Garnacho though, he's the same. He's not the finished product. He's one of them type of players where right now his pace is gonna hurt a tired defense. When he's starting a game, the defense isn't tired. They're gonna be at their A game, and I think Garnacho's pace, where he's trying to cut into defenders, but he's running into him instead, that doesn't help. He doesn't really cross the ball too much, so he's not working in his favour. Bringing him in on 60th, 70th, 75th minute is doing the team a whole lot more better. That's when I think we get the best of Alejandro Garnacho. And most games that he started in, he hasn't been at his A game. I think for now, start him in the earlier cup games, in the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. Then when on the Premier League, bring him on as a substitute because he needs to develop. And if you're gonna, I'm not saying Ten Hag's doing this, but we have seen it all over the years where players have literally been thrown into the deep end at Manchester United. I believe Rashford's been thrown into the deep end due to injuries under Louis van Gaal. I believe Dalango was thrown into the deep end as well when last season under Ralph Ragnick. Even I'd say Mason Greenwood, as he was thrown into the deep end because we didn't have a right winger, and he shifted. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer shifted a striker into a right wing position because we needed to cover the spaces. As much as I like direct play, I do agree with Garnacho. The Mirror article was 2 months ago. Yes, but it's still correct because they can still face the point reductions because they have denied it's happened. A further investigation has happened, and if they are caught as guilty, then they will get the point reductions coming to next season. Hey there, Luman. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. Maze, do you see match winners in the team that gab the game at the scuff of the neck? I see plenty of match winners. I'm seeing more leaders in the team as well. I think what's vital is having a leader in every position. That really helps the shift in mentality. Having a player who will do anything to try and secure a win, I think that's very important in the team, and I am seeing that more this season. Rashford was very selfish. He wanted to break the record. I do personally think, not just today, but in the last, I'd say 4-5 games, I've seen of Rashford, he's been very greedy. Don't get me wrong, he's had a terrific season. I'm not going to knock the amount of goals he scored compared to what he was last season. I do think that he has really improved, but there's a difference between scoring a goal and being selfish and not taking it for the team. Like, we've seen it with Bruno Fernandes. He was very greedy when he first joined Man United. But this season, he's working more as a team player, and it's benefited him. It's benefited the team. I get his tired legs is an absolute weapon. No revenge for Mitrovic then. He made history instead, first playing the Prem to miss 4 pens in a single campaign. That is correct. I think at the moment, I can't remember, I think it's about 13, the most pens ever missed in the Premier League by a player. When will United get a new keeper? Not sure, rather. It's just going to depend, 1, on our transfer budget, and 2, what's happening with De Gea. So I couldn't tell you at all. So we're going to go now onto the second half. I think the second half, again, it was fairly even. I do think Manchester United were definitely the better side in that second half, but you did see more even where Bruno Fernandes, it was a beautiful goal assisted by Fred. Fred found a nice pocket of space, got it a long through ball to Bruno, and that's the type of play what Bruno plays for Man United. And because there is no one there who ever really finishes off Bruno's chance, Bruno is a fantastic player. He should be the captain next season by a country mile who we've got at the moment. And I think he's a great finisher too. So to have that pass to Bruno, I think it was very, very good. I think for me, once we scored, I do think we was pretty quiet in terms of our chances. I think Fulham, especially once Bruno Fernandes came off, and we had some players who come on to rest the team, such as Casemiro came off for Scott McTominay, Fred came off for Ericsson, and Rashford came off for Weghorst, and same with Garnacho for Martial. I think once we had the changes into the squad, we did see Manchester United more defending the ball than trying to score. There was that one chance what Sancho gave to Weghorst near to the end of the game, and it was absolutely shocking. He should have really finished that. He had basically an open net, but we know that is going to be Weghorst's last Premier League game for us. He hasn't scored a single Premier League game, but to be honest, he was an emergency loanee. He wasn't one of. I knew for a fact with Weghorst he wasn't good under Burnley. I just don't think probably he's simply cut out to be a Premier League player. At the end of the day, I think people were hyping. I like Weghorst. I think he's got everything but an end product. I think he'd be miles better if he played in another position. I think Weghorst actually would probably much be suited as a box-to-box midfielder, personally. And I think the reason why he was more hyped than anything by the fan base but before we signed him was because of the World Cup where he scored 2 goals against Argentina, which, yes, it was spectacular, don't get me wrong, and it kept the Netherlands up till the penalty shootout, but you can't judge a player just based off that. As I said, I think it was just more us counter-attacking in that second half because of the substitutes. And if you're going to look at the goal threat here for today for Manchester United versus Fulham, you could actually argue at that Fulham has actually had much better momentum in the game than Manchester United. It was just that Manchester United were able to finish off the chances that they had. Because if you're there looking at that, they had chances there from the 5th to the 10th to the 11th minute, and then again they picked it back up on the 13th minute to the 13th minute there till the 22nd minute. So the pick, and then you can see big massive bell 65th minute to the 73rd minute, and when you do look at the momentum was all Fulham, and you could tell that I think they was getting anxious, that they wanted to get the goal. I think they wanted to get revenge after that FA Cup loss. But it wasn't their day at the end of the day. I do think that Malacia, he was good defending that second half. I do also think that Scott McTominay's yellow card, it was a justified yellow card. It's just one of them. When you play Scott McTominay, you know that he is going to be getting a yellow. It's one of them. I'm a bit surprised though that Sancho played a full 90. I wasn't expecting Sancho to play a full 90, if you want me to be honest. Just because, like, we've got the FA Cup final coming ahead. And the thing is with Sancho is that, you know, that Sancho is going to be starting that FA Cup final due to the fact of injuries. Maybe if Anthony does come back, then Sancho might be dropped, but based off how Sancho is playing right now, he doesn't deserve to be dropped. And maybe the fact Rashford might play as a striker and Sancho plays on the left again. But I've seen better games of Sancho playing on the right this time round. Mitrovic has to break that record. Do you think Kane today had a great option for Man United or stays at Spurs? I didn't watch the Spurs game, so I'm not too sure. I know he scored a few goals. Just for you, Mays, little Porro, lovely goal. Yeah. But I think for me, this is going to be Kane's last proper deal, last big deal before he gets into an older player at the end of the day. And if, for instance, I think Harry Kane, fantastic striker. There's not many strikers out there like Harry Kane. But the problem is I just don't think Harry Kane has winning mentality. To have winning mentality, a striker of Harry Kane, should be at a top club. No question about that. He should be at the likes of City, Bayern Munich, at PSG. Teams who win trophies year in, year out. That's the kind of player that Harry Kane is. The fact he wants to stay at Spurs, is that because Spurs took him in when Arsenal didn't want him? Or is it the fact he loves Spurs, he loves London? Or is it the fact that he's scared of a new challenge? Whatever it is, he needs to be doing better for himself to become a great player. I think, yes, we should bid for Harry Kane. Rumours are suggesting that Harry Kane, Daniel Levy don't want to get rid of him for any less than 100 million. And 100 million for a player with only 1 year left on their deal is absolutely ludicrous. I would not pay 100 million for Harry Kane based off how many years left he's got on his contract and his age. But I do also think is if Harry Kane really wants to leave Spurs, he needs to put it out there he wants to leave. Because next year, he can easily walk out on a free. He can easily talk to new people in January. And I'm sure Daniel Levy would rather take 70 million for him than nothing. That's what I personally think. But I think if Harry Kane really wants to go, he nearly needs to show that he wants to go coming into the summer. Could I say also congratulations, Luton? Yep, Luton's been absolutely spectacular. They're supposed to be paying 10 million to revamp their stadium to make it Premier League worthy. To be honest, I am going to be quite excited of how VAR works at Luton. Just because of the way Luton's ground is set up. How did Sancho play from Chris? I think Sancho was pretty well. I do think Sancho was our best forward player. And I do think that he does look a lot better as a right winger. And the fact that we've been using him as a left winger for all this time, I do think why have we done this? But yeah, as I said, I do think that we played miles better. He's played miles better in the recent games. Maisy, do you think players are linking up and complementing each other when they play? Yep, absolutely. I think that Wan-Bissaka suits Antony. I think Bruno suits Rashford. I think Sancho suits Malacia. I think Varane and Martinez are very well together, so there is quite a good few partnerships there. How good are United committing players forward, taking more risks? I think we could be a lot better in the final third, to be honest. Don't get me wrong. But we have been taking more risks. Sancho is looking a lot more comfortable as well. Weghorst gives less talented Joe Linton vibes. As a midfielder, though, 100% that would be crazy. Sancho doesn't give me confidence, although he's been decent recently. In one of them. Sancho he hasn't shown that he's worth his money that we spent on him. But I am willing to give Sancho one more season because we need to prioritise in other areas. We need to prioritise in the striker role, and we need a midfielder. I even say goalkeeper as a top priority as well. I know right back that apparently Dalot is staying. So if Dalot and Wan-Bissaka stay, I'm not overly fussed. But I think if Sancho isn't to perform again next season, then that's where we do need to sell him. He's got 2 years left on his contract, so we can still get some kind of money. Sancho should stay in the side, but no idea who else plays. If he wants to be treated as a serious player, he has to go. Maze, do you think United need a goal hanger tapping merchant as a striker? Absolutely, because the misses that we have had are quite shocking misses. They're absolutely sitters. This is what I've said is a false nine can't do sitters as well as an out and out number 9. You see some of the sitters that you see some of the tap-ins Haaland does and Harry Kane does and Osimhen does and Martinez. That's the kind of thing that Manchester United are missing here. And I think false nines are great in pace. I think they're great in getting a long ball. I think they're great in them kind of areas. But in terms of the little simple tap-ins, that's something that we do need. We need a striker that could create for themselves at the moment, rather, besides finishing simple chances. And I think, for me, Reese, the only striker who can create for themselves is Harry Kane. Osimhen can't. I don't think Martinez is as good as creating his own chances. Kane is. Kane, if you're looking at strikers who create for themselves, Harry Kane is in the best in the world for that right now. Kane leaving on a free would be a natural disaster for Spurs. Be worse than them spending that Bale money that time on Gross. You know what though? I think for me, Harry Kane is the glue this season for Spurs, and I think if it weren't for Harry Kane, they would be in a much worse situation. And if look at this, like Spurs are not in European football. This is the first time they're not being in European football for years. Harry Kane, a player of Harry Kane's caliber, should be in European football. So maybe that in itself could appeal. I live 45 minutes from Luton. You know what? I would really like to go to that Luton ground. I'd just love to see what it looks like. Because you see so many videos and you think I would really like to see that, but we're just hopefully, who knows? Yeah, Lamalo, Salado, I remember it all. At least Ericsson worked. Luton Town's Pelly Ruddle could be the first player to go all the way from the National League to the Premier League with the same club. You know what, right? I haven't watched much of Luton. I'm not gonna like admit that I'm a Luton fan or this and this of Luton. But you look at a player like Pelly Ruddock, he has shown a lot of loyalty to the club, and I think if he's not good enough for the Premier League, fine. But at least keep him for the one season or half the season at least. Just so he can play in the Premier League. Have a little bit of Premier League time. I think that is the least that the club can let him do. But I think it's really, really great. It just show. I think it's just getting less and less now that you are seeing the loyalties with clubs. Like you see years ago that players were only a one player club. Like you're seeing like Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes, who are one player teams, and John Terry. He was just a Chelsea man through and through. You don't see that anymore, which is a shame. We have a good defence. Need to focus on the offence for next season. Absolutely, I completely agree with that, Liam. I do think we need another centre back. Don't get me wrong. Just because if Maguire is leaving, we need 2 and 2. Because we can't afford to play Luke Shaw still on as a left centre back. Just because I think when Luke Shaw plays as left centre back, I think the left back role is quite starved, and we're not having that kind of attacking role that we have seen under Luke Shaw. So I think if Maguire does go, we definitely need at least one. But I think the offence is something that we do need to work on a lot more for next season. Big up to you, Luca. I'm fine, thank you. Watching while sitting my stream up match reaction. Enjoy your match reaction as well. As long as we could cut out those heavy defeats and the players maintain a serious attitude, they should be avoidable. To be honest, Luke Shaw even said we didn't have the mentality like we do under Eric Ten Hag. We've not seen it for years. So I do personally think that as long as people still remain to respect Ten Hag, which they should do, because they're seeing here they are winning things under Ten Hag, and I'd always say, good performance makes rewards. That's how Ten Hag needs to look at this. If you perform, you get a reward. If you lose, you get nothing. That's how he needs to look at it. If you go, and then he needs to look at it and go, look, we've got a Carabao Cup here. This is a reward for doing well. Look, you got the FA Cup here. That could be another reward. Your reward here is Champions League football. And I think he needs to look at that and go, play well, you get your rewards. If you don't play well, you get nothing. And I think that's the kind of shift in mentality Eric Ten Hag has shown to the team. Hey there, I like coffee. Good to see you. I hope you are well. Osimhen definitely needs service. I think for me, Osimhen hasn't. Before that winger came in, I don't think Osimhen was great. I must be honest. Our wingers will not suit Osimhen. Not at all. Kane or Vlahovic. If you want me to be honest, I'm not a fan of Vlahovic. The reason why I don't like Vlahovic is you watched the Italian league a lot more than me, Reese. But I personally think that Vlahovic is actually getting caught now is Serie A. A lot of his chances, he is getting found out. The way he plays, he's getting found out. As much as I think Serie A is on the up, it's still a lot slower paced league than what the Premier League is. Serie A is for people who are redeeming their careers or building their careers or going to the end of their careers. I think if you're getting caught out in Serie A, you've got no chance in the Premier League. That's my personal opinion. Martinez, I like Kane or Martinez at Man United. I would have liked Ivan Toney before the betting scandal, but they would be the two I would take at this moment in time. Mays, big up, speaker of facts. Thank you very much, rather. Kane would be brilliant for you lot. Absolutely, Chris. I think he would be my first personal choice based on the squad. Thoughts on the wings at United, are they strong enough? I think if you're looking at each player individually, I do personally think that that each player is good enough. But I just think that they aren't the finished piece, if you get what I mean. Like, Anthony needs to give up, he needs to improve on giving the ball away, and he needs to improve on his crossing. Rashford needs to improve on his crossing and stop running into defenders. Sancho needs to work on his confidence. Garnacho is raw altogether. So I think each individually, they are great, but they do need to be improved upon, especially when it comes to next season. And little things need to be pulled out by Ten Hag, ready for next season. I know nothing except Luton, apart from being on a housing estate. Kane gets us to second and another trophy. Kane and a midfielder, centre back, top goalkeeper makes it interesting conversation. I do think at the moment we're far away from the title, if you want me to be honest, and especially knowing that teams like Chelsea are missed out on European football, just as Arsenal did last season. Look what they've done this season. So we need to look at that in consideration, as well as European teams. How's Aston Villa and Brighton gonna be in European football? Are they gonna do as good? Are they gonna flop? Man City's gonna strengthen again. Newcastle, that's going to be an interesting conversation too, because I do think that they've got a fantastic starting 11, but the squad depth isn't there, so they need the strengthening too. So how they do in Europe, and we need to also think how we do in Europe, because our squad depth, if you're looking at our starting 11, is great, but coming off the bench, they're not fantastic either. I like your quiz. Are you quiz master? I wish I was a quiz master for sure. Bang on, Mays. Thank you, Reese. The champions from I Like Coffee. The last time we played the Champions League, Antonio Conte was a player at Juventus. Wow, wow, I like Coffee. Quizmaster, big up, Mays, and the recent quiz. Been enjoying them brain busters. Glad you've been liking them. I'm glad indeed. Yeah, absolutely, Reese. I agree with that. Di Maria has to be scope him. A lot of passing. We don't talk about snakes, Reese. Even Abraham has had to change. I hate. To be honest, though, I like Abraham. I don't like the other snake you've mentioned, though. Hey there, Niall. I hope you are well. Thank you for coming into the chat. Sebastian, thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. Thanks for coming in. Need 5 points to win ML. When will bonus points get in? I think they'll probably come in later on today. They normally get confirmed around 9 o'clock-ish. So keep your eye out on that. But thank you for coming in. 0203 was the last time for Newcastle. Wow. I was 2 years old. I was 2. Great end of season drama today for all teams involved. Absolutely, Lyle. Some fantastic drama for sure. The thing is, in terms of Luton next season, as an away fan, you need to go through someone's garden. That'd be so cool, though. United need to challenge. They have the taste for it. The thing is, rather, you can't challenge overnight. you can't do a massive jump from one thing for another. You need to take it in baby steps at the end of the day. And I think that we need to, I think not next season coming, the season after is when we should be challenging. Lukaku benefits in the Serie A suits him, yeah, because he's crap. It's a fantastic story for Luton, absolutely. Lukaku next year will be mad at Chelsea if they keep him, or he reverts to Kardashian. Snake Arger is a tit, and your quiz ones give me the mandem. Maisie, you think the way Man United manage injuries is good or bad? I think you need to look at it in this way: is that we've had a fair few injuries this season, and we have still managed to get wins. Casemiro has had suspensions. We've been injuries with Varane's had injuries. Martinez has broke his foot. Shaw's got a bit of a nickel now. Rashford's had an injury. Anthony's had a few injuries. Ericsson had an injury. So we had quite a lot of injuries this season. So and we still managed to win games. Nobody likes injuries at the end of the day. It doesn't benefit your strongest 11. But I think the way we managed them and we still managed to come out with wins, I think it just shows the kind of mentality Ten Hag has. Is Lukaku returning to Chelsea if they have Nkunku this season? I think that depends really, because I think Nkunku plays more as a 10 than he does as a striker. And he plays a bit more on the wings as well. I don't think Nkunku's really a striker for me, but Reece would be able to identify that a lot better because he's a Leipzig fan. But I don't think Lukaku is good enough. I think they've wasted a lot of money on Lukaku. And to send him out on loan was the worst thing they could have ever done. Who is the damn snake? It's Angel Di Maria, let's just say. Yes, I think Nkunku as a 10, but plays a centre forward, not a main striker, as I was Leipzig can vouch it. Maisy is happy. Women and men's in Champions League and finals beat Liverpool yesterday. Yeah, great for the women's team. First ever Champions League final. And it was actually the 5-year anniversary for the women's team today, which was very nice. Di Maria is a snake, a Grossackler. Injuries can happen for everyone, unfortunately. You have to get on with it. That's the thing, Chris, is that a lot of people cry about injuries. I can understand people aren't happy with injuries. It's one of them kind of situations, but it's one of them where you need to get on with it. Are we happy with how some injuries happen? No. But there's nothing you can do about it. It's not as though you could right now. You could go and if you had an injury in November, you could do something about it at that moment in time. You can't exactly get a new player coming in. You've just got to get on with it and get on with the squad. Oh, and we just got to try and let it affect it as little as possible. 10 centre forward, right winger. He is 100% not a striker. Can play 2 up front. He drops. That's what I was thinking. I now get the joke. Our youth player Lewis Miley came on today and he was awesome. He can hit the crossbar from outside the box, and he's only 17. Fantastic. What position does he play in as well? I like Goffer. I'm sure, if I'm not mistaken, so many youth players have to qualify in the Champions League in your squad. I don't know how correct I am. I don't know if that's just a women's team, but I think so many youth have to qualify. Just want to say, Maze, looking forward to seeing you in my chat for the quiz 7:30. Oh, you put it back. I thought you was I thought you might have fingered. I thought you was playing it. What is that, 7? Maze, unless you're Arsenal who are crybabies with injuries. Well, yeah, that's very true. Attacking midfield. Ooh. I think that'd be interesting as well. If you was to move to the 4-2-3-1, that could be someone who could come on. It could be like a Bruno, someone who can come on as a sub if Bruno's needed or injured. But I think it's great to blend them into the squad. I do think personally Eddie Howe is one of the best young managers in the league. So if anyone can help a player grow, that would be definitely Eddie Howe. Yeah, move back to 7:30 to get people dinner. Why do you like quiz, Maisy? Quizzes are fun. I don't like doing them myself. Quick thoughts on City FA Cup final. United feeling confident but realistic. Not too sure. I think it should. the same as every final, it's a 50-50 situation at the end of the day. So we just have to see on how we do. Okay. Arsenal fans are self-entitled, can't stand them. Reese, what's your channel? I'll subscribe from Twilumber. What I've done Twilumber for you, I have put in the link for Reese's quiz at 7:30. Sarah is, so it might be a little bit easier for you for Reese. So I will do the player ratings and then we'll wrap up for the day. How did Southampton score 4 against Liverpool? That was pretty funny. Like, I must be honest, like, I seen the result, I was like, but to be fair, if Southampton played the way they did against Liverpool, they would have won. They wouldn't have got relegated. But let's do these player ratings. Thank you so much, Ravi, means a lot. And you're very welcome, Reese. So we'll start with De Gea's rating. For me, with De Gea, I think he was very poor in terms of the goal for Tete. He could have done a lot better. He did save a penalty, which really surprised me. I do as well think that he did do some remarkable saves in the second half, what helped Manchester United stay in the game. I think for that, I'm going to give De Gea a 7.5 for me. Just because that penalty and the saves he done was the big massive difference for the team today. Southampton going down on a mad one. Good show, mate. Bless you. Thank you very much, Torsen. So we'll now. Okay. I have to go on a stream now. Bye, Maisy. Thank you so much for coming in. I like coffee. It's been great to see you. It's been a while. So thank you very much. Liverpool are like DVLA gifted out 3 points. Like the DVLA. So we'll do Malassia's rating now. I think for me, Malassia didn't really offer any attacking product. I've always said, and this game has identified it, Malassia is more an a defensive fullback than an attacking fullback. I do think though Malassia, he did do a couple of good challenges, but I think overall he was pretty average. I don't think he was at his best. But he didn't do anything where I could say he made massive mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to give Malassia a 5.5 just because I just think he was just under average for me. Reese, De Gea 6, Dalot 5, Maguire 4, Lindelof 5, Malassia 5, Casemiro 6, Fred 9, Sancho 8, Bruno 7, Garnacho 6, Rashford 5. So we'll go now on can't give ratings, didn't watch the game. Need to run, great show. I have shared on the community tab. Thank you very much, Reese. Enjoy your quiz. So we'll go now on to Victor Lindelof. Again, I think Lindelof did cover a lot for Maguire's mistakes. And he had to cover a few times for Malassia because of his positionings. There was nothing really spectacular about Lindelof, but the problem is who you're next to. I always think when you're next to crap, you play crap. I'm gonna give Lindelof I'm gonna give him a 6, just over average. We'll go now on to Maguire. But I think Maguire, he did go out of position far too much. He went to the point where I'd say, oh, Maguire was crap, or Maguire this, Maguire that. Like, I will hold it again, is Maguire's not a good centre-back. I think he plays a lot better in the back three. Don't get me wrong. But the problem is with Maguire, is that he's got Dalot next to him. And I think Maguire does play a bit better when he's got Wan-Bissaka next to him, who is defensive-minded fullback. Dalot isn't. He goes quite far up, Dalot. And when Dalot leaves open space, that leaves Maguire in a worse situation. But I do think Maguire was pretty poor as well. I'm gonna give Maguire. I'm gonna give him a 5, average again for me. Next one I'll go. Lumber has gone for a 5 for Maguire. So we'll go now on to Dolo. I think Dolo was shocking. Got a couple of crosses in the box, nothing of it. Give the ball away very cheaply, left open space. I don't know how this guy's getting a contract extension. I don't know how this guy has been rated this season. He's shocking. He's crap. He makes me want to scoop my eyeballs out, if you want me to be fairly honest. He's that crap. I'm going to give Dallo, I'm going to give him a 4 because he's shocking. He's genuinely shocking. He's probably one of the worst fullbacks I've ever watched. And how this guy is getting good ratings, and people are saying Dallo is one of them players who gets backed no matter what. What? How does he get backed no matter what? Liverpool's biggest problem is centre back. 5 from Twalumber. Twalumber's laughing. So we'll go now on to Casemiro. I don't think Casemiro was actually at his best, if you want me to be honest. He did do a couple of good blocks, but I do think as well that the penalty he gave away was very silly. It was better than, I think for me, he did have to cover for a few people. He had to drop deep. I'm going to give Casemiro a 6, the same as Lindelof, just above average. He's got a week's break now. I know he's played 2 games in 1 week in very narrow spaces. So I think for me, having that week's break, 6-day break, ready for the FA Cup final, we'll see a fresh Casemiro. How did Southampton score 4? They put the ball in the back of the net. Liverpool had red carpet security guards and midfielders. I wouldn't defend a piece of paper. Wouldn't with my banking PIN number on it. Yeah, Liverpool ain't great for sure this season. Lol from Rather. Twalumber's gone for a 6. So we'll go now on to Fred. Fred, again, I think he's been an absolute brilliant player for me today. I think he dropped deep. He dropped as far back as a centre-back to cover for some mistakes. I think he done well in terms of both the assists he done. He done both the assists for both goals. I think that he was great with... I think he was great in the tight spaces. He was bringing the ball forward. I really like Fred as a player. And the problem is with Fred, it's kind of one of them where today you could get an outstanding Fred, but then next week you could get like a crap Fred. There's no in between with Fred. It's either you're good or you're bad. It's not like you're always consistent, which is a shame for Fred, because I think Fred, based off how he played, you think yes, he should be in the FA Cup final starting 11. But you look at it and you worry and think you might not even get this kind of performance of Fred. But I think Fred, for me, was absolutely outstanding. I'm going to give Fred an 8, 8.5, just because I do think he had a fantastic game today. I did put a poll in the chat for who you think the player of the match is. So go and put your vote in there. We'll go now on to Garnacho. I think for me with Garnacho, as I've already mentioned, Twalumber's gone for a 5. And Torsen, can I ask, has Ericsson lost his way as a player? I think for me, he's still a fantastic player, but he's not one of them who you can play in, week out anymore. He's more of a rotational player. So we'll go on to Garnacho now. I think what I mentioned about Garnacho really summed everything up. I think with Garnacho, he's a very raw player, but right now he's not good enough to start games. He needs to be blended into the squad, and I think today's just really showing that he can't really be a starting 11 player right now. He gave the ball away a fair few times. He won us a few fouls, don't get me wrong, but he didn't really cut into the box that well because the defenders weren't tired. He wasn't able to get we weren't able to get the best out of Alejandro Garnacho. And I think probably the way with Maisy was playing probably didn't do no favours. I'm going to give the same score as what I give Garnacho and Maisy a 5.5. I think that's probably the best rating I could really give him for today. Lumber's gone for a 5 for Garnacho. So we'll go on to Bruno now. Bruno, he got us a goal. It's one of them situations with Bruno where it doesn't matter how bad Bruno plays, he can still get you a goal or assist. I think he tried to bring the ball forward quite a few times, tried to win the ball a few times as well, scored a goal. I think for me, Bruno, it was okay. It was a good game. Nothing where I could look at and go, absolutely outstanding Bruno. But I do think he was one of the better players on the pitch. And with that, I'm going to give Bruno a 7. Tualamba's gone for a 6 for Bruno. So we'll go now on to Sancho. Again, I do think this is one of Sancho's better games. Out of the wing and the striker, I do think Sancho was the better player. I do think Sancho is looking a lot more confident. He does play a lot better on that right-hand side compared to how he does. He played the full 90. He tried to create a lot more chances. He gave Weghorst a chance, but didn't convert. He scored a great goal. He was in the right place, right time. And I just think for me, it's if he continues the way he's playing, he can come into a great player. But I think a lot of people, I don't think they're really seeing Sancho's qualities that versus Dortmund. He wasn't that type of player to cross that much. He wasn't this type. I think he's one of the type of players he likes just to create and do a little bit of a skill. I don't think this. I think he didn't really do much of a skill. Don't get me wrong, but I do think for me he still had a great game. I'm gonna give him the same rating as Bruno. I'm gonna give him a 7. Maisy preseason be crucial from Rather. I do think the thing is with preseason, it's one of them kind of things where it can be a bit blindfolding, where you can have a great preseason but a crap season. So I don't really take preseason seriously in terms of how the players play. Because Martial was banging them in preseason, and he's an absolute plonker. This in the actual season, so I don't really take preseason very seriously. Tualum has gone for a 6.5. So we'll do the final player now for Rashford. Don't think Rashford was good. I think Rashford was actually diving a fair few times. I think he was very greedy on the ball. He's one of what I've said about Antony. Rashford's doing the exact same thing. He won't pass the people, make a simple pass to shoot. He'd rather take it on himself from a difficult tight angle just because he wants a goal. And that's not a team player at the end of the day. I don't think he was good whatsoever. And I think this was probably one of Rashford's worst games, if you want me to be fairly honest. I think he was quite under average. I'm going to give him a 4.5. I don't think he was good enough for me. Tualumba's gone for a 5. So the ratings for today are De Gea 7.5, Malaysia 5.5, Lindelof 6, Maguire 5, Dalot 4, Casemiro 6, Fred 8.5, Garnacho 5.5, Bruno 7, Sancho 7, Rashford 4.5. And looking at the poll, it was Fred who won it with 42%. So he will be the player of the match for today's game. So we'll finish off the stream now. Thank you everybody who's watched. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. I will be next live now on Tuesday for the awards show. So go and check that out. 8 o'clock. Have a nice Sunday evening. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.